You know what time it is.
What's up, beer people?
If you heard it on the hashtag Beer Town, it's true.
It must be true.
It's true. It is fact. Please, won't you name one of your beers Cart Horse?
And just do something terrible. Just shit beer. Yeah.
Stick your finger in there every now and again.
Stir it with the sock.
Every show, it feels like my first show.
Every show is a new adventure.
We're having some good conversation here, Mr. Troy.
Did I make sense there? I think I did.
I love them all.
Are we all fair?
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to another episode of Hashtag Beer Time with me, T-Bone Troy. In this episode, we have Rob Haynes from the League of Beers. We have him on the show because they are turning 6 years old. Can you believe it? Since 2012, the League of Beers has been delivering craft beer throughout South Africa. What a great business and what a great journey they've been on. We get to chat to Rob about future plans, not just for the business, but also for craft beer in general. And we also make it a bit of a party episode as we invite some of the Tasting League captains, some League of Beers, social media influencers, if you will, and we get to try some delicious beers from the latest case, which is a selection of IPAs from around the country and one or two international beers. So it's an awesome show. There's a lot of chit-chat. We chat about some interesting stuff. We look at the craft beer industry, at where it stands at the moment, get different people's opinions, and it's a really fun show. As always, guys, I want you to enjoy it. Let me know what you think. Cheers. Ladies and gentlemen, it's a few minutes past 12, and as always, there's always a commotion going on in the studio when it starts. I think only because we have a full studio. We have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 gentlemen in the studio. Ladies and gentlemen, it's time for Hashtag Beer Time. Let's make some noise for the Tasting League. Hello, Tasting League. Oh my goodness. Guys, if you have no idea who the Tasting League is, it's just this...
Where have you been?
Crazy... where have you been? It's just this crazy group of people who are preaching the good word, the good gospel of craft beer in South Africa, and they almost represent craft beer as a whole, but the idea was started by... Let's turn this music down. Thank you, Dolph. The idea was started by a young gentleman. Well, he's not young anymore, but he goes by the name Noam. He goes by the naam. There's also, look at my Afrikaans. He goes by the name of Rob Haynes, and he's the founder of League of Beers, and we welcome him into the studio because League of Beers has turned 2012.
Yeah, there we go.
It's always weird to see on the logo 2012, since 2012.
Established 2012. There we go.
And then we also have some
right.
highly regarded, some not so highly regarded beer captains in the studio. Let's go through them without me making a hash of this. We've got Mike from Real Beer Revolution. We've got Rowley, Beer Geek. And then we've got Aaron, Mr. Beer Pants. Gentlemen, hello.
Hi.
Hello. Greetings. Good afternoon.
So, guys, it is going to be like a bit of a studio audience participation. I mean, there's so much going on in the studio, so I'm going to have to kind of steer the ship. If you're listening, hello, how are you doing? Welcome. How was your weekend? If you are listening around the world on podcasts, well, also, hello. How are things going? Guys, I'm sure we're not here to just talk shit. Well, we are, but let's crack open a beer. Rob, we're going to be drinking this month's mixed case.
Cool. Should we have a look at the tasting notes to see which ones to start with? Oh, it should do.
Aaron bought a little surprise. What should we start with? Should we start with something light?
Blockhouse.
No, let's not start with an IPA. Let's
start with the lightest beer in the box. Oh.
Yeah, let's start with that Vedette one. I mean,
let's start with the Vedette. It is 2 points.
It's super light.
The soda water.
There we go. Cool. A session IPA.
So we need 2 bottles between us.
Probably. Yeah, I think so. That's good. Yeah, we've got as many as we want. We've got a whole bunch of bottles here. So Troy, we should do some giveaways in your show.
We will certainly give some giveaways. I think You know what?
In fact,
we've got
guests pitch up. We could just
there,
give
there,
them
there are
places.
5 people in the studio, but to hell with this. If you want to phone in, if you're the first person to phone in, we'll send you a mixed case, or I'll personally deliver.
Hand delivered by Troy.
Hand deliver.
Or Lauren on the bicycle.
Lauren on the bicycle. That was idea. She's probably listening. I don't think.
Mrs. Troy May
Yeah,
on
she's
the
not
bicycle.
going. She's not going to agree with that. If you're in Joburg and you're listening, Rob, I'm sure we can maybe wangle. We can make a plan.
I know some guys who can deliver.
We know some guys. Thank you very much. Mike, let's get you involved. What are we drinking here?
We're drinking some.
So something I'd just like to point out. It's an interesting mix, and this beer is particularly light, good bright time beer. I was listening to some talks about Michael Jackson recently. Michael Jackson, not the pop star, but the beer star. And very interestingly, what he was the way he framed his discussions around different beers. And he would often speak about his favorite beers. He would seldom speak about his least favorite beers, unless it was a mainstream beer, Corona being his least favorite beer of all time. But the other thing he was very good at is that he did a very good job of describing many different beers and many strengths and weaknesses of different beers, but always taking the positive view of them. So with the goal of boosting craft beer and the craft beer industry,
We're talking.
goes down publicly.
We're talking early 90s, and I think we're both referring to a passage in a book we're both reading.
That's correct, yes.
Bourbon Barrel Stout and Anheuser-Busch and Selling Out
Yeah.
by Josh Knoll. I think we both bought the book at the same time. Yes, I love that about Michael Jackson, where he's just
Speaks
talking
with
about the
authority,
positive.
that it's
Talking about
positive.
it's not his job to tell people what's crap about a beer.
What's wrong with the beer?
But
What's right with the beer?
what's right with the beer.
Yeah.
Okay, so should we try that then?
Let's try that. Let's try the beer.
So it's got a citrusy aroma, yeah. Mm-hmm. Got a nice Belgian-y note on the aroma as well. A little bit peppery, would you say?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, you can almost push it so far as a bit of that farmhouse phenol vibe. Very likely.
It's definitely had some Belgian yeast thrown in.
I'm going to repeat what beer we're having because I've forgotten. And I know that if I've forgotten, then there's a small percentage of people who have also forgotten what we're drinking. It's the Vedette Session IPA, 2.7%. That's super session. I mean, they've got extra session here, so
Extra session, yeah.
I mean, I think for a lot of beer geeks, sorry, jumping in there, that this is not necessarily the first place they want to jump to, because when we hear IPA, we want an F-ton of hops, right? And that's basically what we expect, and enough body to back that up. And this beer doesn't have the body to back it up, but I think there's definitely a place for something that's got good aroma that can be drank around the braai, but is not going to knock you off your feet. And I mean, there's non-alcoholic beers, but I think it's nice to have something that's still got a little bit of substance to it.
I had a Cloudwater in the UK that was 2.6%, and it had a decent body. I mean, it's still if you make a low alcohol beer, it's always going to lack that alcohol, right? I mean, it's the unfortunate thing about making a low alcohol beer.
Exactly, yeah.
And I don't think you're ever going to replace that with something.
Yeah, there's
Tangible.
something important to it.
Yeah. But with that said, it was a really enjoyable, drinkable beer, and having hardly any alcohol, you could drink it all day.
Yeah.
But my question is, how little bitterness, because we sort of naturally almost equate hops to bitterness. How little bitterness can you have in a beer and still call it an IPA, though?
Well, they call it a session IPA, and I think that means they can do whatever they want. I think that's the idea.
But
So from a BJCP point of view, session IPA is a thing, right? In the newer BJCP guidelines.
I don't think it exists, no.
I'm not sure.
Let's look that up. Somebody look that up.
if
You
only
can tell us-
is there anyone here who's just done BJCP?
Yeah.
No, I happen to have the
Let's
2015
answer that
style
question.
guys.
Is a session IPA really a thing? And does this then qualify as a session IPA? Because I guarantee the bitter units of this is probably lower than 30.
Yeah.
And from an alcohol percentage, it's definitely lower than an IPA. You were going to say, Aaron?
Strangely, this is the second time I've drunk this beer, and I will say the first time I drank it, I'll speak close to the microphone. The first time I drank it, what I thought was a good IPA that maybe had been watered down. However, drinking this, I am surprised at how different it is. And you get a lot more flavour. It's actually very nice.
Well,
It's
that's
funny,
when you
like,
drink at 12 o'clock in the afternoon, right? Yeah.
but it's funny that it's like the drinking occasion. In the middle of the day, this is actually the very suitable beer. Late at night, when I want to be knocked over, this is not the suitable
not going to
beer.
do it.
Yeah.
So going back to your point, every beer has a place for the right time.
Yes.
But
Every beer has a
but
session.
let's go back to Rob was saying. I mean, session IPA. I mean, this I would never. If you gave this to me in a blindfold, I would say this is maybe a session pale ale, or just a really light
Yeah.
Oh, even you
hoppy lager or something.
Hoppy lager, yeah, with
Yeah.
a bit of Belgian yeast thrown in. It's,
Exactly. So
It actually sounds quite cool when you put it that way.
I think it is a bit of a serious stretch to try and classify this in the IPA family.
for sure.
Yeah, I just feel, using the IPA label, there's a certain expectation, and if it doesn't live up to that, a potentially good beer could be selling itself short or sort of highlighting.
Creating too high an expectation.
Yeah, so
Interesting.
it's about managing that expectation.
Whereas if you call it like a hoppy Belgian lager, it's like, oh wow,
Oh yeah,
it's amazing.
exactly. So that's sort of my, the reason I asked, because when we think IPA, we are thinking, a metric ton of hops and bitterness, and
Yeah.
you're looking for a little bit of.
But I do think
Hop,
that
hop,
definition
drink.
of IPA is changing. I mean, we talked about hazy IPAs in the past, and now like these brute IPAs, and they're all just going to be called IPAs. I mean, they're not going to in Europe and the States, you don't call it a New England IPA. It's just hazy IPA. It's just an IPA. And
Well, you almost answered my question that I was going to pose to you guys, which was, how is this a good thing, calling this an IPA? My one theory is that, Rowley, you said we know what to expect, but we're beer nerds. We're people who know what to expect. What about the person?
minority.
What about the person who is a lager drinker and will never drink anything else but a lager? But when someone says, "Oh no, this is an extra session IPA," in brackets at a stretch, and you hand it to them at the Briar, that person is now thinking, "Oh wow, this IPA. I thought IPAs were."
I could drink an IPA.
It's almost bad in the long run, but it converts someone in the short run to make that step. I'm not saying I agree with it, or if I had my own label or brewing company, I would do that, but maybe there's a little positive spin there.
If it's bringing more people into craft beer, then I'm all for it.
All for that.
And I think the reason on this one the bitterness is so low is because of the alcohol. I mean, if you had a high bittered, low alcohol beer, I think it wouldn't work so well either. I think it would
So
stretch.
let's move on, because
Yeah.
we've got a shit ton of beers to get through. But I would say this beer's 1 thumb up, but it's just maybe not the 2 thumbs up. Let's do a measure like that.
Yeah. but
How many
it's
thumbs?
just-
How many thumbs?
What? It's just a
one.
good beer. and a
What
great
you guys?
starter.
Okay, Rob's doing a half a thumb. Or, no, he's doing a gladiator and a half. Okay, so we got 1, 2, 3, 4.5. 4.5 out of 10, a possible 10.
Yeah.
But I wouldn't say it's bad. Okay,
Nice start to the session.
nice start. What's the next beer?
Well, where should we go with this? Should we go?
Are we going to go through all of them, or
Yeah.
are we skipping one?
I think we should. Here you go. Another session IPA. Yeah.
Yeah,
Let's stick with the sessions.
let's do it.
So, this is a very interesting one for me because I love it, but I've had 4 bottles. The fifth, and then on the 5th bottle, I had one that was a slight off flavor.
Yeah, tell
coming
us
through.
what it is.
Okay, but so I think it's a
Pe-
great beer.
we can see, people can't share.
Yeah, no. Yes, I'm giving it a bit of an intro. But so this is the St. Francis Wildside IPA, which I think is fantastic because it is very approachable. But I just love the aroma. But not every bottle's been perfect for me. So let's have a look. Thanks.
Can I ask, has it always been a session IPA?
Not to my knowledge.
It used to be just a straight IPA.
I think it
I could
was
be wrong.
previously as just a straight.
And what's
IPA.
the one thing that maybe some people wouldn't know about St. Francis Brewing Company?
Brewed at Devil's Peak.
It's brewed at Devil's Peak. Is it owned by Devil's Peak?
It's
Yeah.
owned by Devil's Peak.
Yeah, it is.
No, I thought they were contract with.
No.
It used to be brewed at Woodstock, right?
It used to be brewed
Yeah,
at
I think
Woodstock,
that's right. Yeah.
but I think it's part of the Signal Hill Products family now. But
Okay.
maybe Brad can correct us on that.
Pass me a bottle there. I mean, your glass.
These on.
It's my glass.
Yeah, I just want to have a smell because you had a different glass to me. Or did Aaron? Did you have a different glass? I mean, a different bottle.
Yeah, they had a different bottle. This is the
Okay.
other one. So it's a session IPA, but it's 5% ABV.
So maybe more along the lines of
Because I mean, you take. Sorry, I'm going to skip ahead to.
moving on from that one. Excuse that. Rob and Rowley are typing furiously. I don't know. Maybe are you tweeting?
They're talking to each other. They just.
We're fact checking.
Mr. Bearpants, how are you, sir?
I'm good, thank you.
You have a beautiful sombrero on.
Yes. Well, it's party time.
It's party time.
Yes.
Party time.
Once radio technology catches up and we can actually see what he looks
Yes.
like.
We can. You
Oh,
can
wait.
stream this on Tasting League's Instagram account, and then you can see the beautiful Mr. Beer Pants in person. Apart from
You
the
know, we
light is
still-
really bad.
We still haven't had anyone phone in. Guys, if you phone in to either one of us, if you have any one of our phone numbers, give us a call. And if you phone, the first person to get through will get a case of mixed case of League of Beers beer.
I'm just phoning now.
You, I've got my calling. Okay, well this is a tasty beer. I think this is the first time we've had St. Francis on the show. I stand to be corrected as always on my show, but I like this. This is more of a introductory beer for people who may be not too familiar with IPAs.
Mm-hmm. I think it's got a decent aroma. A little bit of passion fruit there.
Does have that lingering
I'm pretty
bitterness
sure
at
they're
the
using
end.
Southern Passion in this.
Quite a nice colour though.
Quite interesting that Signal Hill, aka Devil's Peak, have quite a collection of breweries now.
That's a good topic to get onto.
And they've been
of the controversies.
flirting with Ukamba, so I'm going to say it on live radio. That's wouldn't be surprised if something happened there. But they are building themselves a very nice portfolio, which is interesting. Very interesting to see what's going to happen.
What I've quite enjoyed is also
JC Phelps is just going to be brewing all the beers.
JC Phelps with all the medals.
Okay, we got our first caller. Can you believe it? Can you believe it? Okay, you're live on radio.
Hi, this is Mrs. McGregor speaking.
Hello, Mrs. McGregor. Miss McGregor.
I can't believe it's taken this long to get my wife on the show. How you doing, honey?
Is this about you doing deliveries for League of Beers, Lauren?
I'm quite thirsty.
Well, I don't think we can include this as a prize because I think you want me to get all the beer out the house. So
Yes, this is true. This is true.
And
That's
let's
what I
face it,
did.
Troy is a prize, so you win everything.
what do you want? You can have some beer. It was really
Okay, good luck. Love you.
love you. Bye. Bless. Bless. But there's got to be some Tasty League captains who are listening. Guys,
They're all working.
they're all working. Yeah. Who works these days? Okay, guys. What are our thoughts on this beer? I'm going to give it. I think for what it is, I'm going to give it 2 thumbs. But that's just me. What are your? Let's see. Let's go round.
Well, if we're talking
Oh.
session IPA,
Okay, good. Okay, what? Okay, so we got
I'm a big fan.
8.5. 8.5 for a session IPA.
That's very generous.
I'll just say it was a bit too malty for me.
Bit two.
A bit too malt forward.
There's definitely different batches because if I think about the first few that I tried, it blew my mind.
Okay, I've got an unknown number.
This one is definitely.
Oh, it's a cold calling. Okay, you're live on radio. Who's this?
Hi, Troy.
Who's this?
It's Dean Lankilder.
Hey, Dean, how's it going?
Deanie, how you doing?
Hello, boys. How's it going, man?
Good, thanks. Good to hear from you.
Yeah, it's good to have you on the show. You've also got, now we're competing. Now everyone's starting to call in. Now,
The switchboard's going crazy.
Dean, lekker to have you finally on the show. But listen, we're going to send you a mixed case of delicious beers. And maybe even Rob will throw in something sexy in there.
Dean, do you have any comments on the state of the industry?
Yeah, keep it under 20
jeepers.
seconds.
let me not comment on that now. I'll have to censor myself a little bit.
Okay. What is the censored 10-second version?
Just this whole Tapgate, man. What a shambles. But I think people will get around it and make things work. It's a interesting place to be, and I think it'll be interesting to see where the industry goes from now.
Cool. Well, way to drop a cat amongst the pigeons as we say goodbye. No, but Dean, thank you so much. Good to hear from you, and we'll chat to you soon.
Lekker, enjoy, boys.
Ciao, ciao, ciao.
Yeah, bye.
Hi.
Hey, getting live calls here. I got to call this other guy back because he did call. And it's my show.
is it Murray?
I can do it.
Is it Murray or Miss Murray?
Hey? No, you'll see now.
It's Rody.
Yeah. Oh.
Troy.
You're live on the show.
Yeah, that's what I like to see.
This-
Little callback action, eh?
Little callback, guys. This is Carl from Bear Country.
Hello.
Carl, you're supposed to be in the studio with us.
I know, man. I just figured I'd call you a call and wish you all well. And
You-
Troy, whatever his name is, Rob, happy birthday and all that good stuff.
You just want beer. You just
Yes, I
want
want the beer. No, I don't need the beer. I got so much beer.
We'll send you some beer anyway.
Well, Cole, how about a song request?
Oh,
Oh, yeah. How about a song request? Greta Van Fleet. Burley's head's going to explode if you don't play it.
okay. Well, we've got a limited library here, so we'll see what we can
Oh, my goodness. It's always an excuse for Troy, eh?
do. Cool. Carl, thanks for the call. We'll chat to you soon.
Cheers, man. Bye.
Ciao. Okay. No more phone calls. Okay, let's move on to our next beer. We're making some good progress.
Oh, better bottoms up.
Should we?
Hey, Troy.
Can we?
Should we talk about the
progress
origin
to
of this
the
recipe?
to the IPA, to the Devil's Peak.
Okay.
No, let's go into this one.
No, because
we've
we've
got
gone
some history on this.
extra session IPA, then we've gone to a session IPA.
This is also
Now-
a session IPA.
My apologies.
That's
I
why
thought
I
it
went
was.
with that. Where's the red
I thought it was
session?
the porter. Okay, so what do we
No,
have in
it's
our
a
hand?
Red Summit session
Remember,
IPA.
it's because it's IPA day and IPA month and our birthday. Every beer in this case is an IPA.
Are we going with it? Should we roll with it?
Roll with it. So this is the newest one from
So Troy,
Mona's.
and Mornay can maybe phone in and defend himself.
Mornay.
But do you remember back in 2012 when you, me, I think even Ross from Hudson's was involved, Mark Forrester from Who Themes, Sam Paddock from Get Smarter,
Yeah, and someone else.
and Greg
Greg
Crum,
Crum, yes.
the legend, one of the people who taught JC everything he knows.
Exactly.
And so we brewed a red imperial IPA called the Tsar.
Yes.
Right. And to Greg's credit, he cleaned the living nonsense out of that
Jeepers
brewery because it was at Glenn Adams' old system, and it was all plastic buckets all over the place. But he cleaned it like it had never been cleaned before. The one thing I can give the man is very pedantic.
Yeah.
And which is a great thing for a
He
brewer.
unscrewed
Everything.
every single nozzle.
Yeah.
That
It was.
even if you thought that's not going to get in contact with the beer, but he unscrewed
Yeah.
everything.
I think he even washed Glenn, if I can remember, scrubbed Glenn down.
When I say he got earbuds, like I'm not exaggerating, he literally cleaned every single
And remember the stuff I
orifice.
found
Is that a word?
in Glenn's ears. But I mean, it was. I was amazed. Yeah, as you say, it was a good description. It was
Yeah.
amazing the degree of cleaning that man went to, and so that's a great trait.
I think
that's how he furthers his brewing. But
there was only one place in Cape Town that had brewing cleaning equipment. It was Beer Lab.
yeah,
But we were brewing in Noordhoek, and that was at Woodstock. So it was like a 45-minute.
back and forth first thing in the morning.
I think-
It was like 4:00 in the morning.
There were two trips. I had to go back
Yeah.
once, and then you had to go back for another to get
Yeah,
other
yeah.
chemicals and water.
And we needed, and then we had like a ton of hops, and then we tripled the amount of hops. It was like there was no more space for any more hops, and they were dry hopping.
We were literally sitting with our fingers in our mouths, like chewing what's going to happen.
I know, but remember when we put out that Tsar, South Africa's first Red Imperial IPA?
I liked it.
It was a monster of a beer. It was fantastic, and all credit to Mr. Crum who put it together.
Oh, will we see a rebirth?
Maybe. There's
Oh, and I can see. I can know when you're thinking about stuff.
there's
I haven't worked with you, Rob.
I
I
can
can
steam.
I can see.
Brain is working hard.
The eyes roll back into the head.
My point is, we obviously only made 2 batches of that and then stopped and that went away. But very soon afterwards, Mr. Mornay Ace purchased the Lakeside Brewery and started brewing a red IPA of his own. And I found it very coincidental.
Yes.
I don't know if you remember that. But it was definitely a lot more sessionable than the many bags of hops and malt. And so I'd like to think this the Tsar gave birth to this beer that we're drinking today. That was the long story cut not so short.
No, well, let's drink it. I'm
as-
smelling a lot of caramel.
As we're drinking these, I think we just to remind people that they need to vote for the People's Choice Awards.
Thank you. Yes. There are two.
Because we've got some here, You
Yeah,
don't
so,
want Black Label to win again?
Yeah.
Black Label's not here?
so what happened last year?
Black Label won.
How did Black Label win? And what are you talking about?
This is the best beer in the world, isn't it?
Beer
You can
House.
tell
But it always wins the best Black Label awards.
Beer
That's
House.
what's
Black,
on
Label,
the stickers.
Black Label have enough awards.
Yes. Best Black Label in South Africa.
Yes.
So you can vote at
The
Beer
Black
House.
Label Award for best beer.
For best Black Label.
Yes.
You can vote at Beer House and you can vote online.
And is that affecting the SMBT or is that completely separate?
No, I think it's separate.
Prize, yeah.
Okay, cool.
Yeah, it's the People's Choice Awards at the SAM.
So the
Oh, so
South,
it's getting
the
announced
South
at the same
African.
time.
yeah.
Oh, cool. So there's lots. So there's actually the beer judges get involved and the general community of fans get involved.
Yeah, the beer judges don't get involved.
No, what I mean is the beer judges involved in the SMBT,
Yes, yeah.
but then the People's Choice also comes through. So it's a good. That's actually great because then there's the strict BJCP way of viewing things, but there's also like what the people love.
Exactly.
The popular vote. It's like the Oscars.
Yeah.
Now with the popular movie
Entry.
Oscar.
Yes, I see that.
Well, so what we actually happened this morning is Mornay contacted me, and then Murray put a ping through. Then we spoke to Matt Hurst, who's back in the tasting league. The tasting league will continue, and we're going to see if we can also team up with them and do something. Actually, release those beers in a mixed case as of next month. So People's Choice on 3 levels.
Just don't put a Black Label in there, though.
So I would as a bonus beer.
Yeah, the free beer.
Last year's winner.
But yeah, so our People's Choice is going to be, the plan is to replace it with that. So basically voted by you, the people.
Cool.
Nice.
Guys, we're making some good headway here into these beers.
With your family.
Let's talk about this session red, this red session IPA.
Summit Red Session IPA.
So I can definitely get some of that redness coming through the nose.
I can smell the redness.
What would that be? Carafa 3? I'm guessing. I'm thumb sucking.
What's Red X maybe?
Bit of
Is that Red X something you put in your car, or is it?
bit
I
of
think it is a brand.
multi-bovril meatiness coming through. But I'm gonna go for a sip.
Do it.
Yeah.
Quite grassy. For me, it's quite grassy. Nice.
Please express your.
I thought everyone could hear it. I thought there were microphones everywhere. Yes.
You need to speak with a little bit more depth.
Yeah, no, as I said, I think it's nicely balanced. And yeah, for me, it's grassiness. I don't have the greatest palate in the world. But
Oh,
this is nice.
come down. Don't sell yourself short.
It's maybe it's almost a perfect pale ale in a way. It's lingering more to the lines of a pale ale.
I think
There's
that's
something
what
missing.
Carlson is
There's
tasting
something
it.
missing in it in terms of IPA. It's missing that. Well, it's missing that aromatic hops definitely, but there's a certain kick that you're meant to get from the bitterness that's not.
it's balanced too well by the malt, I think.
Mm.
The sweetness from that red malt, whichever one it is, balances out the bitterness quite well. But
Okay,
too well, maybe.
So how are we feeling about this in terms of?
It's 5.6% as well, eh? So it's on the high end.
Definitely. So I'd say it fits in with the session element, being a lighter alcohol.
Can I just read?
You can read. Please read into the microphone.
IBU's 50 plus.
Wow.
Is what it says. And for what we're saying about the hops, Summit, Equinox, Southern Passion, and Citra. So a lot of hops in there. Does it translate?
A lot of variety of hops.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Maybe a little bit more emphasis towards the aroma, I think.
Yeah.
Okay. Guys, let's give some thumbs. So we got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 6 out of 10 for.
We're having like our own People's Choice in the
Yeah, no, exactly.
And I mean, we represent all the people, right?
Guys, you don't need
course.
tasting
everyman.
apps. You don't need all these things. You just need a couple of guys with those two disposable
And a
phones.
big hat.
What has 2 thumbs and Dick's beer?
Exactly, this guy. I was gonna. You know what? Let's. We've had 3 beers. Let's take a quick break, Broly, before you pour
Ah,
that.
damn it.
God damn it. Rolly, won't you very gently put some earphones on there and tell me. Well, actually, just come have a look here.
Oh, he's bugging it now.
Damn it.
Come have a look here.
Oh.
Oh!
What is this guy?
Okay, which song do you want to hear?
Top one.
This one.
No.
Hop Monster says
Yeah,
that.
there we go.
This one.
Yeah.
was
Okay, I don't know if this is going to work.
Oh, awesome. Thanks.
So let's won't. Guys, believe it or not, we're trying to play some music.
Yeah, if you don't mind.
So let's see if you can hear this.
It's very slick, Troy, I must say, this transition into music.
Thank you. Oh, there we go. Cool, guys. We will see you after the break. Ciao, ciao. No, well, we're back on air. We're definitely back on air. Hello, everyone.
Hello.
Okay, I have no idea that band was Greta Van Fleet, Highway Tune, but here to explain it is Rolly. Why is that song important?
Well, Troy, I've been lobbying...
T-Bone, please.
Mr. T-Bone, sir. I've been lobbying you for the better part of months now to get some Greta Van Fleet. They're a fairly young band, young guys from Michigan in the US. One album out so far, but anybody that likes the old school rock will recognize the sort of, the channeling of Led Zeppelin through these young guys. They've definitely got their own voice, but...
Isn't Michigan a state?
It is. They're from...
Where's Detroit?
These guys are from...
Because Detroit, I remember the movie Detroit Rock City.
Yes.
Okay. Sorry to interrupt. Yeah.
No, but these guys are from Frankenmuth. So not Detroit.
Of course they are.
Yeah.
Is that really a place?
It's really a place. I had to look it up because I knew they were from a weird little town.
That's right.
Frankenmuth. So that's why it's easy to say.
Yeah, children listening.
But the lead singer, especially that opening howl of Highway Tune, is completely Robert Plant, who is the lead singer from Led Zeppelin. So anybody that enjoys old school rock and roll, and especially Led Zeppelin, give them a listen. They are the whole album. It's pretty incredible.
Troy, this is like I now have a request to segue from your band that you've spoken about.
Mm-hmm.
How about All Along the Watchtower, recent edition by Dave Matthews Band that segues from All Along the Watchtower into Stairway to Heaven?
Cheapers.
How boom will that be?
That'll be epic.
I think it's going to have to be done. And this is not the kind of thing that ever gets played on radio.
Oh, no, totally.
Okay, well, we'll play that for... let's play that for the end of the show. How about we do that?
Are we opening the beer?
Let's open a beer. What beer are we talking about?
It's the King. We're opening the King. Not Elvis. Blockhouse.
Blockhouse. And I think this is quite a nice transition.
Yeah. When you're ready.
Why is this a nice transition? Because we're going to...
Toss a light so I can just clean my glass out.
Quite. I think it's still regarded as the number one IPA in the country, although some people would disagree.
I'd say it's one of the best beers ever to come out of South Africa.
Definitely top.
I mean, we're
top
spoiled
three
for choice
IPAs.
these days, but it's definitely a landmark beer in our country.
So you say it's the best, one of the best in our country, but would you in fact showcase it as a South African beer?
Well, that's... yeah, I've got a segue for you here.
Yes. So we're all about segues on the show.
So, those little bike thingies. That was always an issue for me because our kind of our grand plan for League of Beers was to take South African beers international. And what's always been a bit of a challenge is that a lot of our best beers are made with some of the best ingredients from around the world, which is great, but it becomes difficult to then showcase it around the world. So showcasing our beers with South African ingredients is something that would be a lot better to be able to do. So obviously we're using local water, which is good.
Yeah.
But just makes logistical sense. Although in the Western Cape that is a challenge. But I like the use of the hop, the African Queen, that Devil's Peak and Jack Black have done some good work with. So that is something that we can stand proud about. But it's always, as I say, it's a bit of a challenge. But at the same time, let's say you took this beer to the Blockhouse, King's Blockhouse IPA. If you took it to an international beer competition for IPAs, I reckon it would stand very proud and very tall.
Mm.
So it would be great for it to use more South African ingredients. But if you look at the ability, let's call it the state of South African brewing, it's world class.
Yeah. No, following on from that, if you had to put this in a bottle store in New York City or anywhere in the States, I think it would have a strong presence, and it would stand up. Yeah, on an international scale, it will score highly. So I'm sniffing in between. I talk.
I think there's very few beers. If you look at the South African, or in the craft beer landscape, craft beer drinkers are by definition loyal to craft and disloyal to brands, right?
Yeah.
Because we want to give everybody a fair opportunity. We want to try lots of different beers. I would say there's probably 4 beers I'd state in South Africa that have got proper loyalty, and this would be one of them.
Is it just me? Is it when you taste it, it almost feels light, watery? Mm. I don't know if it's just because of the other beers that we've been drinking. But this tastes very sessionable.
Less malt body, more hop forward.
Yeah.
6% as well.
Let's jump to an easy topic. Tap takeover. So I want I want to get everyone's kind of Tapgate. You know, for those of you who haven't listened to the show recently, for those of you who haven't been tuned into the show, you know, Devil's Peak have just acquired the tap rooms, not Devil's Peak Tap Room, which is some confusion, but Tap Room is a keg distributor and tap installer company in South Africa. Devil's Peak have acquired 100% of their assets. There's been a bit of an uproar in the community, but both Devil's Peak and the Tap Room have come back in a response with their opinions and views, which I appreciate and I thought were really good.
Some good articles by, who was the first one? I think who broke the news.
Carl kind of, where's he from? He's from 400
Brewing and Drifter, and he was involved in the tap room at some point, so he had a very opinionated but interesting view. It was cool when he broke the news, and I very liked the...
Then came Devil's Peak.
There was the pizza guys and the draft boys.
Yes,
pizza guys, I enjoyed that. Randolph had his article.
Yeah.
Lucy had an article.
I think mine was somewhere in between there.
Plug it.
Okay.
And the hashtag Beer Time had a podcast because people need to listen. People can't just read.
What was cool is that there were some good balanced views because you would have thought that people would just be all up in arms. And it's the same thing with the Jack Black thing. Like, these are both kind of significant movements in craft beer South Africa, which actually shows huge progress, but is detrimental to a lot of the people involved. So there's very mixed reactions to it. But it was nice to hear some very balanced views.
Well, let's go in, and I'm going to put you guys on the spot here, but I want a 1-sentence reaction. And what was your reaction when you first heard it? I'm going to start with you, Mr. Aaron.
Thanks. I'm going to make my sentence have a comma in the middle.
Yes, but go a little bit closer.
Sorry,
we can't hear you through your beard and shoulder hair.
I think Devil's Peak has found themselves as, with this takeover, at almost the curators of a lot of the craft industry in the country, and it just needs to be fair and good quality, and we should be okay.
Cool. Fair, quality, good. Beer pants?
Nice.
Beer pants just finished?
Yeah.
Beer pants just finished. On to Beer Geek. That's what I'm saying.
As long as I think the long term will tell whether this was a good.
I want your reaction. I don't want your positives.
My reaction. My reaction is if it makes good beer more accessible, I'm all for it.
My initial reaction, you mean, was quite
oh shit,
pessimistic about it, and then I talked to quite a few people before I wrote my blog post, and I think my blog post was quite fair or quite down the middle, trying to give like both sides of the story. And I think that's when I wrote that, I saw that was what I felt. That was my initial reaction, was like, this could be potentially devastating for craft beer, or it could actually be a good thing for craft beer. And only time will really answer which way that goes. And I think, in hindsight, now looking back at Derek's response from Devil's Peak, it sounds like it might go down the good side of my initial reaction. So that.
Well, I was going to come back, and you kind of went in there. You kind of went on a positive note. But
I didn't stop though.
So let's go back to Beer Geek. Really, what do you foresee being positive out of this?
The positive for me is it's going to the beers that are going to stay on tap are the beers that are selling, and the beers that will sell are the beers that should be the beers that people are drinking and want to drink. And as long as Devil's Peak sticks to what they said in their statement, as far as they're not out to crush competitors, it means that we should have less taps standing still, more beer that is drinkable in more places. So I thought, as long as they stick to what they said, I foresee only good things.
Mr. Beer Pants, something good from the industry?
Well, to be fair, I can only agree with Roddy. Exactly what you said. It's just there are places where where people are coming into the country where maybe they're going to taste our craft beer for the first time, and maybe that venue is owned by old taproom stock or taps, and that could be a turning point. If you only let them taste a certain amount of beer, and it's what you want it to be, not what it should be, then that could be an issue. But if you can showcase some really good beer there, then we're making a good name.
Cool. Thank you for your opinions. Rob, we're going to bounce a little bit now between the book that we're reading, which I think is quite appropriate.
Oh, yeah.
Because I think it's amazing to read this book with what's happening now.
Yeah.
One thing I wanted to talk about, and following on from what these guys have just said, I think it was Greg Casey from Banana Jam. Flippin', he gets a mention every show.
Does that mean you all get a free beer?
We all get a free pint. He has promised us we all get a free pint.
And
Greg?
flatbread.
Greg's off on another surf beer challenge. Beer holiday, whatever. What's
Surf beer travel hashtag.
Surf beer travel hashtag. One thing he said is like, so long as the beer's good quality, and the business has been done without anyone being a dick.
Yeah.
There shouldn't be anything to worry about. One thing that I read in this book, which did kind of get under my skin, and still does get under my skin when tactics like these are used, is when big beer becomes a dick, and that they use actions in the market which could only be classified as being a dick. For example, I think it was the example in the book that they use is a competitor, whether it was Miller's or Coors, wanted to start Red Dog beer. And Anheuser-Busch, this was at the start of the craft beer revolution in America, like 89 or 90. One of the competing companies wanted to release a red beer, and they called it Red Dog. Anheuser-Busch caught wind of this and didn't want to be overtaken in any form of the markets. So they made sure that they released the beer before the Red Dog release, and they made a Red Wolf beer, so they could get prevent the sales from going ahead for this competing brand, which
it's real one-upmanship.
Which is, and I've heard of other beer companies do that. Big beer companies do that in South Africa, But that's just when you screw a company over like that. Like, imagine if I did that to one of you guys. Like, if you guys were releasing something, anything, and I heard about it, and I like screwed you over and like got ahead of it. That's
hashtag gin time.
Yeah. Like it's that kind of stuff which really kind of like grates me and stuff like that. So I think that was a good example of when big beer becomes a dick, which hopefully we don't see any of that happen.
It's an important thing to think about is the natural incentives. I mean, a lot of people have read Freakonomics, and that gets into the thinking of incentives, right? And if you look at the economic system that we live in, it's incentivized towards volume and profit, especially in beer, right? So, and we're in our system is pretty capitalist driven and not very socialist driven, although there are socialist forces. We're definitely in a capitalist country, which is why we've got such a divide of income. And part of the problem with that is now, so backstep a bit, the Devil's Peak guys are good guys. I mean, there's very few people in craft beer that I don't enjoy.
Hashtag Beer Time agrees.
There are very few people in craft beer that I don't enjoy. I mean, we're an industry full of cool people, right? But they're going to have economic forces pulling on them. They've got volume constraints, and they need to show bottom line profit. I think there's two counter forces which are going to be important, because we speak about things like fairness. There's a thing called the King 3 report, things that report triple bottom line.
Mm-hmm.
That kind of way towards corporate governance is a very good way to get people to start thinking about the environments and people, and making sure that your bottom line is not just financially driven. So bringing those incentives into what we do from a governance point of view is quite important, because if if the flow of things keep going, they will have to be driving towards volume and profit, which will be at the expense of some other brewers. That being said, the other force that can keep things in the right direction is the sense of purpose, right? And that's something that I think has become a bigger and bigger thing in business throughout the world, is actually business that has a sense of purpose.
Yeah, not just beer,
Yeah, and if you think about like our purpose behind what a lot of us do in craft beer, there's obviously personal incentives and we like the product, but we all have a combined purpose of the betterment of craft beer in South Africa. And it may seem like a silly thing to some people, but it's something that drives it, that speaks to us.
Yeah.
And I think that if anything that can keep Devil's Peak on the right track is a strange way of saying it, but they have a lot of power now, they've got a lot of influence. And if they're held to that sense of purpose of, if it's for the betterment of beer, which I do believe is important to them, even though they are businessmen, then I think we could be in a potentially great situation.
Yeah, and I still think that, I mean, you have to consider them as craft beer. You can't consider them in the same bracket as big beer, you know? I mean, like my question on my blog post was supposed to be, you know, is Devil's Peak still... It led on nicely from our chat we had on the podcast, and is Devil's Peak still considered craft beer? And I think, like, the article answered itself, and I almost toyed with the idea of actually answering it, but I thought, no, I think it answers itself. And, you know, these guys are still relatively small if you compare them to craft brewers worldwide. I mean,
they're making great beer.
Yeah, exactly. So the only question was, like...
I just got a like. Social media from Devil's Peak. My comments.
The only question was, like, was that business practice akin to big beer business practice? And like we said, now only time will tell really how that pans out. So you can't answer that question.
No. So, sort of tying in a little bit with what Rob said, you know, one of the things that Devil's Peak, in my opinion, has always been, or especially in the last couple of years, have been really good at, is their community engagement. They very much sort of try and interact with the community, and you know, especially some of the beer nerds among us. Because if you take a look at the Explorer series and that, some of those beers will only appeal to a very small section of the, you know, beer drinking market, and some of those are they're passion brews. You know, they're done because they want to play around. So their community engagement for me has always been one of their positives, and the community feedback, especially on something like Tapgate, should be what guides them. If they get the feedback from the community and they see that it isn't what they expected, if it's, you know, overwhelmingly negative, you know, I'm hoping that they are tuned in enough that they will, you know, reconsider what they're doing, because they obviously see the value in engaging with the community. So that hopefully that is their pulse on sort of what they are doing. If they see that feedback is not good, we can only hope that they, you know, change accordingly. So, yeah, you know.
Yeah, it's funny them growing into like this bigger brand. We said it last week, like smaller breweries have a smaller turning circle, bigger brands, it becomes a bigger company, and then you have to change something, or it has to go through certain levels.
Yeah.
Anyway, that's a whole nother discussion, but let's crack open our final beer.
So we should actually cheers this one to beer, because all this talk about beer.
Yes.
Let's make beer great again.
Oh, we didn't give a rating for Blockhouse. Do we even need to? I think it's going to get full marks.
Yeah, it is.
So Devil's Peak, you heard it here. Hashtag beer time has given you full marks. But I mean, it's hard not to.
10 thumbs out of 10.
I must say, this next one is... I've had a lot of hazy Nipas in my time, but this is the haziest that I've ever had.
What's... Mr. Beer Pants, talk to us. What is this?
This is Sharp Shop.
Talk to the microphone.
A collab between Drifter and Zwakala.
I see your clothing, you've got a collab between Mad Giant and Drifter going on right now.
I had to shed the mariachi hats because they got too heavy. Yes, Drifter Zwakala, a passion fruit New England IPA, 6 ABV, and lovely. I've heard some comments about the haziness, but still a lovely smelling beer. Really good nose, right?
Oh yeah. I think I had this from the tank. I was lucky enough to have a little sneaky taste at it.
Tank Planning, directly from it.
No, not that. Fermentation tank one.
this is from the crazy kids at Drifter
And
Zwakala.
I was in
They
Shanghai
almost-
with these guys last year. It was such a crazy jewel.
They're brothers from another mother. I think
I
they.
think
While we're drinking this beer, and it's going down like a treat, I feel we've almost forgotten about the whole point of the show, and that's to celebrate the League of Bears turning 6.
Yeah!
No. We
Let's
will
get
not
some-
sing.
get
We
some
will
good
not
news,
sing
baby.
Happy Birthday.
Hey, so in light of that, just a shout out to the Tasting League and you guys here and Tasting League listening. I'd say my proudest thing of League of Beers is the Tasting League and this kind of community-driven passion for beer. And I'd say whenever there'd been time I've thought about, we've come close to closing our doors 3 or 4 times, which we've survived and grown strongly through many years back. But whenever there's that time of wanting to throw in the towel, I think, no, well, we've got this tasting league. Clearly, we've got a group of people who want to make craft beer work. And so that,
What the
let's keep
hell will
going.
we do?
So cheers to the tasting league.
Yeah, cheers. Let's cheers.
I think you should mention Dave, who's up in Rustenburg as well.
Hi, Dave.
Who
Hey,
I
Dave.
saw on the Tasting League social media this month has had every single mixed case since day one. So he put a
What?
put a photo
Dave
on.
Starley?
Yeah, he put a
Wow.
photo.
That is
He put a photo on
amazing.
of the tasting notes version 001.
Oh my goodness, I didn't see
I
that.
think-
That's insane.
I think I worked it out. It was like
I've listened to that guy
800
something.
864 beers at least, because he reckons he's had more than that. So
Yeah, I actually did this sums once. Wow, 864.
864 beers. If he
Different
had
beers.
if he had a 12 pack of mixed cases for the last 6 years,
At the beginning, yeah.
but he's had more. So
That's
let's say 1,000. Let's say 1,000
amazing.
plus beers from the
That's
tasting.
amazing.
Dave
That's
Starley,
Dave
king of the
Starley.
tasting
Yeah,
league.
king of the
Right there.
tasting league. Yeah, well done.
In fact, you can have my job.
And the depth that goes with it.
What
amazing.
what are the plans for League of Bears in the next 6 years? I mean, I know you've partnered. How long has the partnership been with the Happy Chef? That's almost been like 5 years.
Yeah, that's
Since
right.
5 years since I left League of Bears.
Exactly, and it's been all downhill since you left.
Exactly. That's all those times when you wanted to close were the times that I worked with you. Oh, Troy, things aren't looking
Troy,
good.
Just back the damn boxes right
Yeah.
there, Troy.
Upside down. But what's
Masters Brown and Ray
Yes.
again in the damn box.
yes? How did this
Try any box.
homebrew beer? What are your plans? Can you talk about anything that you're excited about?
Yeah.
Don't mention gin.
So let me just think where we wanted to. So we were mentioning the last couple of days. We want to try and there's always been that focus around League of Beers about educating people around craft beer. So there's that continuous looking for something new, something interesting to entice people, to bring more people into craft beer, and to potentially even those who are in the craft beer movement to expose them to something different. But there's definitely, we're looking from reach, distribution, pricing structures, trying to see how we can get more people tasting more craft beers on a monthly basis. So that's a big focus.
Are we talking League of Beers Brewery?
That was on the cards many times. Maybe a tasting league brewery. Who needs a League of Beers
Okay,
brewery?
let's just start with the Tasting League prior. I think we're all in agreement. It needs to happen. Rob did promise us this time last year.
Okay.
Yeah, that is
It would
Okay.
happen before Christmas. We found ourselves in the second half of the following year now. So I know Greg and Carl have said.
Okay, if it's at Greg's house, it's on.
Okay, there you go. Greg and
Right,
Carl.
Write it down, record
Waiting
it.
for the response.
I'm recording everything. So we
Okay,
need.
our future is about a League of Beers bride. No,
Yes.
but, I think I'm a big believer. I won't get too much into Detroit. We can speak at it another time. But I'm a big believer in canning as a way forward for beer, because I think if you look at this whole tap gate scenario and draft and all these different things, being able to get more beer on tap is a great thing, right? But perhaps we can get more beer in more places. I think from a packaging point of view, putting beer into cans is good for the quality, good for the distribution, good for the pricing.
I was just about to say, the bottles are heavy. If you put six cans in a case,
We can bring our prices down.
your price can come down.
Everybody saves. I mean, just as an example, when we currently buy when we buy pallets of beer from overseas, right? If you buy a pallet of bottles, you get about 1,600. If you buy a pallet of cans, you get up to 2,800. So it's just so much more efficient, and the beer stays fresher for so much longer. And your costings are great. So what my current drive with League of Beers is to get as many South African craft beers as possible into cans, so that we can bring the costs of South African craft beer down, so that great beers like these can actually compete with mainstream beers, and therefore more people are going to be more likely to want to try craft beer. And I'm hoping that this is a way to kind of further burgeon and grow craft beer in South Africa. So that's our biggest focus.
And I know you want to talk about cans, but I'm going to dedicate a whole show to you next time.
Cool, no, 100%. You want to know where we're going, and that's the focus.
So
I'll put it Rob Can.
Yes, we can.
Yes, we can.
I don't know if I was hoping to get through the whole show without any cheesy puns or. No, I see your steam coming from your head now. Stop it!
Almost made it. Stop it! Almost made it.
Don't you dare!
I have snuck in 3 puns already. I'm sure Carl will be able to spot them.
Let's finish up with this beer. This is a great.
This is my favourite beer from the case this month.
It's not overwhelming in fruitiness. The fruit is like a low scale, but it's enough to be like, wow, this is quite an interesting beer.
Beautiful smelling beer. The aroma is top.
So you love the aroma, huh?
Oh yeah, man, it's just bottle that and spray it on. Thank you very much.
What's that?
I like spritzing every
Well, there's an idea, Rob. A League of Beers beer spray.
Cologne.
Oh, beer.
Cologne.
Because you're worried you don't smell enough of beer as it is.
Spray someone. Are we going to have one more beer? I mean, we do. Well, how much time? Yeah, we've got a few minutes. Is there anything?
Aaron's got one. What time does the service start?
I might have a beer.
Do you want to open it? We don't have to open a beer, but should we open? Was there? Is that not for consumption?
That's not for consumption.
Did nobody bring a birthday cake? Oh my goodness! And they're in cans.
And they're in cans.
Woo! Those look good.
That's what I had.
Should we have it on the show? Or should we have it off the show?
I'll come on the show.
Can I just mention the Tasting League competition as well?
Yes, you can. Please.
So there's a year's subscription to League of Beers mixed case up for grabs.
Yep.
You check out any of the Tasting League's social media pages, Facebook, Instagram, or Twitter. You just need to post a picture of a beer you would like to see in an upcoming Tasting League mixed case. Then Rob promises the winner will be in the mixed case.
Oh, okay. Yes, I do.
Just put him on the spot there. You get extra points if the photo is taken at the brewery, and even more extra points if you can get the picture of the brewer in with it. So we're trying to encourage people to go and find their local breweries and find a great beer there, and maybe one that we haven't heard of in Cape Town that we can give them a taste.
How good life would be if you had a year's supply of beer.
Yeah,
well, yeah. Beer. New beer.
Hey, can you just
local beer?
Your life would change.
Local beer.
It will make you a better person.
Look at us. I think
look at how awesome we are.
We're living our best lives right here, right now. Okay, so let's have a bonus segment. Bonus. Mr. Beer Pants has brought us a little delicious, tasty treats. Where have you brought that from, sir?
A legend.
Talk to us. What is this?
I hope it's lovely. This is the Stone Brewing Company Ripper, San Diego style pale ale from Berlin, Germany.
Ooh.
5.7%. Yeah. It's a ripping swell of juicy hops.
So have they brewed that beer in Germany? Is that what they're saying?
Yeah, Stone have a couple of breweries.
It says Berlin, Germany on the bottom.
Do they have a brewery
in Berlin too, yeah.
But they also have one in the States, eh?
I know.
I know they have one in the States.
I know that this was bought in a shop in England.
Which is huge in...
that's the lovely thing about England, right?
In Europe, this is massive.
Morrison's is...
hence the Let Us Buy Beer campaign. You buy this in the supermarkets.
Yes, and we still have that...
I'm definitely for that.
Let us buy beer.
Opinions, but I'm definitely... So some of the retail buyers are actually saying to me they don't like it because it gives more control to the minority of breweries, the ones who've got the actual power. So it could lessen the supply of what you get in supermarkets. But if I look at what's happening in the States, I don't know. I think it's worth going for. Like,
I do think
beer more available.
I do think it favours the big brands, though. I like the AB InBev brands and the Heineken brands. So I do understand the argument against it. Can you just
but when you look at someone like I'm going to be very specific. When you look at some guys, we're talking about Let Us Buy Beer campaign in South Africa. You can't buy beer in the supermarkets. But if we take a specific example like Woolworths, it's very higher LSM, upper markets. They would almost want to stock.
Yeah, but
the slow movement, the slow food movement, the crafty beers.
But to become a supplier for Woolworths, I don't think many of these small craft breweries would be able to go through that rigmarole of
because of
the logistics involved with becoming a supplier for Woolworths.
But then they must sharpen up. But
it's expensive, eh? It's expensive to.
It's a good point you make, Troy. So you're right that it's very difficult to supply the big retailers.
Because there is that red tape. I understand there's that red tape. I've heard to get into Checkers for other products, is extremely difficult.
How about Sugar Merchant in Checkers? How good would that be?
but if then brewers can't complain, then they need to tick those boxes and go through that red tape.
My only worry would be then you take these small independent bottle shops that we have in Cape Town. We have some good ones in Cape Town, and I'm sure there's the same nationwide, like Tops in Hillcrest. Would they then struggle?
I highly doubt it.
Those guys are always just going to be.
I highly doubt it. Those guys
because in the UK where you can buy alcohol in the supermarket, there's not many small.
But what can you buy in the supermarkets? You can buy.
There's a couple of
Very good example.
You go into supermarkets, you're going to be able to buy a Beavertown, which is great.
Heineken, yeah.
Which is great. But if you go into a specialty store, you can also buy a Beavertown, but you're going to go for the other smaller, 100 brewers that are there.
Yeah, you're right. I forgot the name.
Let's crack this open, guys. It's the last beer bonus segment.
That guy, what was the brewer from Bell's Brewery? What was his name again?
John
Mel.
I just called him John Bell.
John Mallet. Yeah. He was very funny. I was talking about. I said, "Do you enjoy the Beavertown beers?" And he said, "How do you pronounce that?" I said, "Beavertown." He said, "Oh no, we call it Heineken back home." I was like, that is very good. I mean, I've got a lot of respect for Heineken as well. Great brewing company.
Yeah.
Here we go. Thank you.
Cool. Beer Pants, thank you for bringing this, sir.
Ooh, great nose.
Have some more there. Have some more.
Thank you so much. Very kind.
Of your own beer.
Yeah.
Yeah, cheers, man.
Speaking of cans, guys, it's good.
Saucy beers like the world. Tasting League!
Tasting League, assemble! Ooh, that's sexy. It's malty. It's got a nice balance of bitterness.
That is easy drinking.
Don't taste like Yakima Valley hops. It seems more like your Noble hops. I'm assuming is what they've used there because it's more of a spicy, earthy, floral character to these.
Well, this is brewed in Berlin, so maybe they have. I wonder if this is a beer only made in Germany with. It says San Diego style pale ale, so maybe they have used.
The Germans are producing some American style hops now as well.
But, I mean, hops are very terroir driven.
Those crazy Germans.
The Bach Haas hop group or whatever they're called. They got some American hops grown in Germany. American style hops.
It's funny. It almost reminds me from the design point of view of the CBC can, the CBC pale ale.
Oh, it is very reminiscent of that.
Yeah.
Troy says it's a stretch.
Maybe we can get there.
What does Troy know about design?
Very little. Guys, well, as we bring this show to a close, because that would be the responsible thing to do, any last parting words? And we'll start in this order. Finishing off with the CEO of League of Beers, as someone else pointed out. Mr. Beer Pants, I don't know what I was going to ask you, but just, hey, how's it going?
It's good.
Did you have fun today?
I had a lot of fun, and thank you to League of Beers for 6 years of great beers.
I think...
And don't forget Thursday, the launch of Devil's Peak, Okamba.
Ooh, that is a sexy looking can.
Oh, yeah. We're
going to have to put that into a mix case next month.
Oh, yeah.
That'd be a good idea.
I think we should.
Sounds like a great idea.
It'd be a responsible thing. Mr. Beer Geek?
Yeah. I'm looking forward to the next 6 years of League of Beers and where we go from here because it's been so much fun up to now. Hopefully the party train doesn't stop anytime soon.
Sure. Can you imagine the bride that we're going to have?
Oh, 12th. For the 12th birthday, it's going to be epic.
Well, I think we should pinpoint a time, maybe tomorrow. Maybe sometime. Oh, this is what happens towards the end of the year. Things just start.
National Bride Day.
Things start national. There's an idea. National Braai Day.
I know some guys who kind of into the whole braai vibe.
Who's that?
One of them has a big beard. The other one wishes he had a big beard.
Never heard of it.
Mike, Mike, thank you again for joining the show. Any last words, comments? How you feeling?
I think this League of Beers is a great thing. You know, like it gets beer out there and accessible to people. I do tend to be about supporting local breweries, and I think that's great. You know, you support your local brewery.
It is a great company. It's a pity about the owner.
Yeah, I know. But for the guys that can't get out there and support all these local breweries, then it's a great solution.
It is a great solution.
Yeah.
Mr. Rob, second time on the show.
Yeah.
Hey?
Feeling fancy.
And every time I see you, you get in more slim, arms. Are you still doing your squats, by the way?
Even Grayson, my little son, is now, he sees me exercising, so he does squats on command. And he's a year and a half.
How many squats do you do a day? It's
just enough.
Just enough.
Yeah.
I need to get into my squats.
I've lost track. Where are we? What are we talking about?
Beer.
You know, it's quite funny if you look at. So here's a good advert for beer, right?
Yeah.
So if you consider myself today versus that fat face picture that you posted of, and that was when we started in 2012.
I was Chunky Rob.
Fat Rob, proving that craft beer is good for you. You know?
Yes.
Easy as that.
Oh, hell yes.
I suppose just in parting, in closing, so first point is while we're speaking about all these different things and rules of purpose and these things, there's a sign outside House of Machines, and it's something to live by, especially in this industry, and it says, "Don't be a dick."
Yep.
I think it's works for it's good.
Why did you look at me then?
But on a more positive note, thank you very much for having us. Thank you for all the support over all the years, everybody, in helping us all kind of drive craft beer forward together. Thank you for the Tasting League for being awesome. I'm humbled by how enthusiastic you guys drive the craft beer movement. And just thank you and cheers to Craft Beer South Africa.
Cheers. Cool, guys. Well, it's a great time to leave and great time to say thank you, goodbye. Next week we have Shackleton's. Well, Mr. Shackleton's on the show. We're going to talk about the second Cask Festival.
Cool.
But that's next week. So, guys, we will see you.
Some interesting beers.
Exactly. So we'll see you guys same time, same place next week. And you know what? Have a good one. We'll see you soon. Ciao, ciao. Thanks for listening, guys and girls. Make sure to follow me on Instagram, Twitter, and Facebook. Just search for #BeerTime. That's #BeerTime written out in full. Hope you enjoyed the show, and check you next time. Cheers.